Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're looking into a really ancient text. It's a genealogical record, basically tracing the line all the way from Adam down to Noah.
That's right. And it gives us these um, specific details,
Hmm.
names, how old they were when the next key person was born, and, well, their total lifespans.
And our mission really is to unpack this, not just read the list, but look for patterns, interesting little details, and try to figure out what this might suggest about, how these early people saw their own history.
Exactly. What
Yeah.
do they think was important to pass down? Because the first thing, the thing that hits you immediately
Oh, yeah.
is just how long these people supposedly lived.
Right. These lifespans are staggering. We're talking centuries. It just makes you stop and think, how do we even approach that? Okay, so let's dive in at the beginning. The text starts with the creation of humans.
It does. It says humans were made in God's likeness, male and female, and then gives them this collective name, mankind.
So that's the foundation.
Yeah, it sets the stage. Divine origin, shared identity. And it's interesting, actually, that it mentions both male and female right there at the start.
From there, though, it zooms in pretty quickly on one specific line, starting with Adam. And the details are, well, quite precise.
Very. We get Adam fathering Seth at age 130, and then
Yeah.
Adam lives 930 years in total. It also mentions he had other kids.
Right.
But this sets the pattern, age at the birth of the next key figure and the total lifespan. It really emphasizes that generational link.
And this pattern just keeps going with Adam's descendants. So Seth has Enosh when he's 105, lives 912 years.
Hmm.
Enosh has Kenan at 90, lives 905 years. Kenan has Mahalalel at 70, lives 910 years. Then Mahalalel has Jared at 65, lives 895.
And you start to notice something there, don't you?
Yeah, the lifespans are still huge, obviously. But the age they're having kids seems to be, well, drifting downwards a bit. From 130 down to 65.
It's a subtle trend, but it's there. You could speculate. Does that reflect some perceived change, maybe in vitality or circumstances? It suggests things weren't just static, even in their view of this early period.
Then we get to someone who really stands out, Enoch. Jared fathers Enoch at 162.
Right, a bit older again there.
Yeah. And Jared lives 962 years total, but Enoch himself only lives 365 years, which, compared to the others.
It's quite short, relatively speaking, but it's not just the lifespan. It's how his story ends.
Exactly. The text says he walked faithfully with God, and then he was no more because God took him away.
Which is completely different from how everyone else's story concludes with just, and he died.
Totally different.
Yeah, it implies something really unique, a special relationship, maybe exceptional piety, a different kind of departure from life. It definitely marks him out.
And it's Enoch who fathers Methuselah, and he does that when he's only 65. Now, Methuselah, his age is just...
Oh, it's the big one, isn't it? Methuselah, son of Enoch. He fathers Lamech when he's 187, and then lives a total of 969 years, the longest lifespan in the entire record.
969. It's almost unbelievable.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the significance of that specific age? Why him? It's a number that sticks with you.
So after Methuselah, we get Lamech. Fathered when Methuselah was 187, Lamech lives 777 years.
Still a very long time.
Absolutely. And with Lamech, when his son is born, we get something more than just the numbers.
Yeah, that's right. When Lamech names his son Noah, who was born when Lamech was 182, he actually says something quite specific.
What was he say?
He says, he will comfort us in the labor and painful toil of our hands, caused by the ground the Lord has cursed.
Wow. Okay, so that adds a whole different layer.
It really does. It gives you this glimpse into their perceived reality. Hardship, toil, this idea of a cursed ground, and then this hope pinned on Noah for some kind of relief or comfort.
Yeah.
It's not just genealogy, there's narrative context there.
It's a sense of struggle.
Exactly. And a longing for change.
And then we finally reach Noah himself. And the way he's introduced is slightly different again.
The text says, after Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
So it doesn't give the age for the first son, like before. It gives his age 500 when these three crucial sons are born.
That's a really key shift, actually. It signals we're moving from like a single line of descent to the family branching out. These three sons are obviously pivotal for what comes next in the narrative.
And Noah being 500 also kind of reinforces that theme of great age, even though we saw those earlier fatherhood ages decreasing a bit.
Right. The longevity is still very much part of the picture.
Okay, so let's step back and think about what we've seen. Going from Adam to Noah, there are a few things that really stand out. First, obviously, those incredible lifespans.
Absolutely. Hundreds and hundreds of years. And, interpreting that Well, it raises questions. Is it literal?
Hmm.
Symbolic? A different way of counting time? It forces you to think about the worldview behind the text.
And then there's that consistent pattern. The father's name, the age he had the next key son, and his total lifespan. Why do you think they were so meticulous about that?
Well, establishing lineage was incredibly important in the ancient world. For identity, inheritance, maybe religious standing, this record seems designed to show an unbroken, traceable connection right back to the very beginning. Continuity.
Makes sense. And we can't forget Enoch. His story is unique. That whole God took him away part. What does that signal about him?
It definitely sets him apart. It suggests perhaps a model of righteousness or an unusually close connection to the divine, leading to a fate different from ordinary death, at least as it's presented here. He's clearly highlighted.
Yeah, he really is. And then Lamech's comment about Noah, that little bit of narrative hinting at hardship and hope.
Right, it adds that human dimension. It reminds us it's not just a list, there's a story implied there, a context of struggle and expectation for the future tied to Noah.
And finally, that shift with Noah and his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, it feels like a turning point.
Definitely. It sets the stage for the next phase, doesn't it? The story's about to expand, to cover more branches of the human family originating from Noah.
So we've walked through this ancient family tree. We've seen the huge ages, the careful record keeping, Enoch's unique exit, Lamech's words about Noah, and then the arrival of Noah's sons. It really does make you ponder the purpose behind it all.
It does. These details, which might seem dry at first glance, actually open up so many questions about how ancient people understood their origins, their connection to, well, the divine, and just their place in the world.
Which brings us to a final thought, maybe for you listening. When you consider these extraordinary lifespans and those specific details about people like Enoch or Lamech, what might this ancient record be trying to convey about, well, the nature of life back then and maybe that early relationship between humanity and something bigger?
What's the deeper meaning embedded in this genealogy?
Exactly. Definitely something worth thinking about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.